All right. Welcome to Voices of the Millennials. I am your host, Elle Lyon. Some call me Elle the Lion, and I make pretty dope art here at Love Bay Radio. At Love Bay Radio, and we are listening live and streaming to you from 135 countries around the world. And I'm right here in the GTA, right in Toronto, Ontario, and coming to you with a very, very special episode today. So, you who have been listening maybe for a while, if you have been listening, then you know that we are interviewing some very special guests over the last couple of weeks. We are getting ready for a big exhibit here. That's my day job. I do curation of the arts and community organization in the arts. And so, Nuit Blanche is a 12-hour art exhibit that happens every year around the last week of September, first week of October. And what they do is around different sites in the city and even outside of the city now, there are going to be art exhibits popping up everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And I'm excited to be curating my very first art exhibit alongside North Love Arts. So, my organization, Made Well, I'm a co founder there. We are going to be co curating with North Love Arts. We have the opportunity to get 12, 13, actually 13, we just added one more, 13 BIPOC artists from the GTA to exhibit their work for a 12-hour period. So we're going to be rotating artists, visual artists, as well as music artists, and culinary artists. So I do believe that culinary is an art and it's one that should be celebrated. And we are making sure to prioritize that and highlight and amplify the voices of BIPOC artists. And it's all about breaking ground here at Nuit Blanche. So, Nuit Blanche is the organization, and they have been known to be kind of gatekeepers of the arts. People look to them as the tastemakers. If you want to know what's good in art right now, I would say that a lot of folks would head over and see what's happening in Nuit Blanche because they do exhibits all around the world. And so Toronto is definitely one of those cities that I think all around the world people kind of look to see what we are doing to set the trend. And so it's really exciting to be breaking ground with Nuit Blanche as they are starting to prioritize the voices of BIPOC artists within their spaces. And so we were selected as one of the organizations to put on this show. And then we put together a submission process, and we found 13 artists that we felt really represented the theme of breaking ground. And as you know, for the long term listeners of Voices of the Millennials, ever since I've been hosting, I've been starting this conversation series called Elevated Conversations, a play off my name, but really it is about lifting as we climb. And I think that one of the ways that we can really help individuals to reach their potential is to give them the resources, the education, the knowledge, so that they can build the skills to become the people that they would want to be. And so I'm very honored to be in the position of being a real life elevator. And I believe that I elevate as I rise, and I help people by giving them information that they may need to be in places that they may or may not have seen themselves in, but they believe that they belong in. And so one of those places is definitely in the fine art world and in the visual arts space. And so I have today with me a couple of the artists, a few of the artists actually, and we're going to have a little panel. Last week we had 5 of the artists came through, and we have about the same amount coming through today. And they're going to be talking about their breakdowns and their breakthroughs and how that led to them to be able to be breaking ground here with us at Nuit Blanche. This is going to be the largest amount of BIPOC artists in one space at Nuit Blanche. And that's all happening at dawn on the Danforth at 15 Chisholm Avenue in Toronto. And if you're not in Toronto, that's okay. You can head over to North Love Arts so you can check out everything that's going to be going on. You can come on over to madewell.productions on Instagram and see all the artists that we have selected. And you can stay tapped in with me right now. And we're going to be speaking to some artists right now. And thanks to everyone in the back who makes this happen here at Love Bay Radio. I'm so excited to be speaking to an artist that you may have recognized. A couple weeks ago when we started this whole process, or months ago when we started this process, we had Jasmine Swimmer on with us. Jasmine, how are you? She's back again. How are you doing, Queen?
I am doing well. Glad to be back in a new setting and excited to speak
Yes.
on the work that I'm doing.
Amazing, amazing. And I'm very excited to be speaking to you because you are going to also be doing a live demonstration with us and really starting us off with our live demos. So I thought it'd be fitting if we start out with you first and find out what have you been up to since we last spoke. And, is anything new, exciting, other than, of course, newly launched?
Definitely have been working on some new art projects. Uh, some great opportunities have brought me across the border to the US. So I'm back just in time for Nuit Blanche to do my live exhibit, which entails a lot of AI technology and generative technology that all of you that come in attendance will be able to participate in and take home a little token. So I'm excited.
Yes. And I thought it would be great, even though we did speak a lot about generative AI last time that you were here. I think it's important because I was trying to explain this to people, like what we're trying to do here, and they don't get it, or I'm not explaining it right. So I thought, why don't I get the expert to re explain what is generative AI? How does it tie into art? And then how are we using it at Nuit Blanche?
So yeah, so generative AI is kind of like a broad term, like the same way people use the term marketing. It could mean so many different things, but in this case, generative AI, we're actually training AI to make art or to cultivate something out of nothing by just giving it prompts. So in some systems, you may have heard of Chat GPT. You can tell Chat GPT like, write me a resume, do this, do that. But in this case, we're actually coding or teaching AI to create an art piece or an something out of nothing that we really think of on the spot. So in this case of Nuit Blanche, I thought it'd be really cool to kind of remove that barrier. A big part of breaking barriers is one, removing that barrier to access, especially for BIPOC artists, but also for people that may not naturally have the gift to draw or paint, do fine art, or even do digital art. So the concept came about to actually remove that barrier and help people that have no creative skill whatsoever create on the spot that one piece that they always wondered what it would look like if they could draw or if they could paint. And using AI on the spot will be able to generate whatever you think of and print it for you.
That is it was yes, exactly. That sounds amazing, especially the aspect that you're talking about for those who have been told or have told themselves that they are not visual artists. This is such a great way to break in and really test that theory. Like, are you an artist? I think everybody is born with this creativity and artistic ability that they just need the right vehicle, and maybe it's generative AI that's going to bring that out. So I'm so excited to bring this in. It's something that I think also you mentioned is often not seen in like BIPOC spaces, especially like in the Afro Caribbean community. This is just starting to be something that is becoming more commonplace. So I'm so excited that you're bringing this to us. Excited, excited. And I'd love to know, are there any other ways that you're breaking ground right now with your art in other spaces while we wait for some of our other guests to come join us?
Right now, I'm working on a few different projects. Definitely working on a new concept to actually work with some nonprofit organizations here in Toronto and outside of the city. I did have, unfortunately, another I guess you'd say installation. But the reality of a lot of art communities and nonprofit spaces, funding. So unfortunately, that second concept that I had, the funding just wasn't there to continue the program. So unfortunately, yeah, a great project that I had on the other side of the city, closer to the lakeshore, won't be happening this year. But still get to do this one, and hopefully next year can still bring that concept back to life through some other funding. But yeah, that's what I've been working on thus far.
All right. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I know that we have some other friends who are going to be joining us tonight. They're going to be joining the conversation about, just like Jasmine, how they are breaking ground with their art in many different ways all around the city. We have with us Adrian joining the conversation. And then we're going to have all the artists come back and join us for a little panel. So, Adrian, would love to speak to you about, you also came through a little bit earlier before we started this exhibit, and you submitted and we accepted. And so I'd love to know what you're excited about exhibiting at this year's Nuit Blanche show with us, and how you're breaking ground with your art.
Oh, I'm so excited to be a part of this. As always, it's great to be, celebrating the works that we created within our communities. Um, I'm excited to show the spray painted pieces that I've done. They're on canvases. For those who know me, you might know that I do a lot of work in the city. It's usually in public spaces. My work surrounds like spray painted works. Usually on a bigger scale, but I'm learning to scale them down and use my spray painting techniques on smaller canvases. So, in many ways, that in itself is how I've been breaking ground by using a medium that was otherwise considered like vandalism. It had a very negative connotation surrounding it, and putting a very positive twist on it in the way that the medium is used.
Yes, and honestly, well said. I do agree that you changing the narrative by
Mm.
putting spray paint on, fine, a medium that would be declared fine art, I think is amazing. It is definitely breaking ground. We're so excited that you're going to be showing these pieces. They were one of my favorites from the first exhibit that I met you at, was the Black Frames. It was very breathtaking. This is something I think the world needs to see. And so I'm really excited that we get to work together again.
Yay!
Yes, yes. And one of the other things that we always talk about here is, breakdowns and breakthroughs, and how that led to you being able to be the artist that you are today. And I know last time we spoke a little bit about that, but I'd love, for any folks that haven't, had the opportunity to meet you and know how you were able to get to where you are, because you also are a gallery owner, as well as an artist, a visual artist. So I'd love to know a little bit about that, like your biggest breakdown and how that led to your breakthrough.
Well, I like to think that nothing happens in life to us; it happened for us. So when it comes to breakdowns, I don't want to see anything a lot of negatives. I mean, I've applied to do works and projects that were not accepted or whatever have you, but I always saw those as opportunities to do other things, kind of like one door is closed, another window is open type of mentality. So it's
Mhm.
always been very positive. I don't see there being a there's always the general issues when you're a person of color working in a society that we live in, having a lot of barriers and whatnot. But maintain a positive mental attitude is definitely a big component for getting over these hurdles and breaking ground, as it were. As well as showing gratitude and being appreciative of what you do have, because that definitely will help you to your abundance to grow when you do take notice of what you do have, and all the benefits that are bestowed upon you.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I love the good advice, because it really is about your mindset. It doesn't actually matter all the things that happen to you sometimes. It's really more so about how you respond to them, and then how you get back up after it might knock you down. So I love that perspective. And I'm excited for you to, engage with our other artists tonight. We're going to bring in our other artists now, and I'm going to introduce them. And then we're going to bring everyone back. Don't worry, everyone. You're going to have a chance to see them all and speak to them. So, Priya, how are you this evening?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I am blessed. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm happy to say that Priya is one of the artists that I don't know as well, but I'm excited to get to know even better about how you have turned breakdowns into breakthroughs, and now breaking ground with us here at Nuit Blanche 2023. So I'd love to know anything that you want to let us know about how that came about? How did you make it over to this side?
Okay, sure. Well, I'm happy to be here and I'm to be a part of Nuit Blanche this year. So I'll be showing, as you can see behind me, my large, colorful abstracts.
Oh.
They are all very textured and colorful, and I like to give them positive titles so that when someone buys them and they're in their home decorating their home, they can always look at them and have a positive reminder. And that's kind of the breakthrough that I that could apply to the theme of the show. People that are going through things need like some like help to get through their tough situations. So for me, the paintings have like positive titles like focus on greater things and focus on the bigger picture and shatter obstacles. And so for me, when I look at the painting and reflect on the meaning of it, it helps me to, like, get through something that day. So it's just like constant positive reminders around my house. So I hope that people will buy the paintings and then have these nice, positive, uplifting, and encouraging messages in their home that can help them just get through that tough thing they're going through. Because we're all going through stuff. Like, we're all going through so much. I don't know how we need like strength. For me, I get my strength from God, and I like to put that strength and awesomeness into the painting, so to have that like strength and hope and joy to get through each day.
I love it. I love it. And was there any things in your life, like how did you come upon your craft, like into artistry?
Well, that started when I was in grade 10 in high school. It was a project that our grade 10 teacher gave to us that was just probably what every artist would love to hear. He just said, do anything you want. And I was like, really? Okay. So my creative self, I've been creative all my life. I was like, okay, what can I make that could be just like what I would love to make and express? And so at that time in grade 10, I was 16, I liked girls and fashion and hair and jewelry. So I made a girl sitting on a balcony, like a stylized kind of cartoonish girl. And I used all real hair, fabric, and jewelry in the painting, which you can see a little bit of that one in the back. It's just this dancing girl. That's made with all real fabric and hair. I might as well just turn this around and show here. You can see that one there, the girl in the dress there. It's all real fabric and hair. So that was what started my journey. Now I do abstracts. So that was I've been doing this for 18 years. So my journey definitely has changed over time, but I started with, that's what triggered it. That one teacher just saying, do whatever you want. And what had happened was I made that girl, and then people saw it and started making orders. Oh, make me one, make me one. And then I started doing girls in their prom dresses. And so it'd be very custom, their prom dresses, how their hair was and everything on their prom day with whatever background setting they wanted, which their parents would get for them as gifts. And then it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled into, then I went to university for painting and learned a whole bunch of stuff there until I stumbled upon that I feel like I can express myself through abstract, which is just colors, because it's really just colors that inspire me. And I just like to experiment with different ways of applying different color combinations onto a canvas, really just to make something to decorate the home. So it's really quite simple, but so I like to look at stuff. Like, my walls are never empty. I'm running out of space always. My house is full, as you can see. So it's just constantly
seeing the hall there, like, yeah. I love it. I love it though. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for letting us into your home as well. We're going to bring Priya back. Now we have Josh, who's going to also has a beautiful piece of artwork behind him as well. And Josh is another artist that I had the opportunity to work with at another exhibit. So excited and glad and honored that you applied for this one and we accepted. So Josh, I'd love for you to let folks know a little bit about you, how you came into your artistry, and maybe about that piece that's behind you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elle. Again, it's an absolute pleasure to be a part of this wonderful event and this beautiful experience I was blessed on to have one here. And how I got into my artwork was around the age of 9 or 10, and I see my dad draw this portrait, and I was like, oh my days, I want to do that. And and the one thing which my dad said, it really stuck to me, was I said, I want to draw just like you. And he said, no, you can do better. And it was that I always wanted to draw and I always wanted to be better. So, through that experience, what I sort of realized as I grew and matured and understood was, you know, my dad basically said, practice being the best you. And so that's what I do. I practice being the best me every day. So then tomorrow I look forward to the betterment, and the best lives in the past, and the best is my teacher. That's how I establish my work and create. That's my attitude going forward. And one thing about the art world, which it came through to me throughout my creative journey, was you can have talent, but if you have a bad attitude, it's not going to work. It's really about attitude. That's what it is. So you don't have much talent, but you have attitude, you'll get somewhere. And so that's how I came to be in this position right now, presenting in Nuit Blanche. Right? It's about that attitude and continuing to practice be the best me that I possibly can be. And then I know I've given myself the best. So when people experience my work, they are experiencing the best that I could do at that time. And through that, that's going to inspire them. They're going to look and be, this is really cool. This is really amazing. And when they say that, that's because that work of art is somehow relating to an experience in their life, which was amazing and made them feel great. And so my art evokes that, which is basically when they say this looks amazing, this is fantastic. It's you're amazing, you're fantastic, and my art is just reminding you of that. And so as I create, my headspace is purity, and that means I create and I do not look at other artwork or other artist style or what they're doing because that's not me. That's them. So if I'm trying to create and follow them, I'm just being a bad imitation. And the world has enough of those. So I just say, I do me. And when it comes out, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And it's going to be an original work of inspirational purity. And that's what people feel when they look at my work. And I'm really grateful that it speaks to a lot of people in that way, where they're able to experience that and they come to me and tell me how this art made them feel. And it's really amazing because I always like to tell them how you experience art is there's no right or wrong answer. It's your experience. And so when you create that and you tell me and we have this beautiful conversation about the artwork, that's so cool because I just created that unique experience within that individual's life. And it's always a positive experience. So now they move forward with that positive experience. And so that's the real magic, as you could say, from our artwork, honestly and truly.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Really taking us on a journey. And I love how you imparted also some gems that, perhaps you've picked up along the way through your experience, things that I'm hoping that there are young artists out there who are listening right now, or old, whatever age you are, as long as you are still breathing, you have, if you want to be an artist, you still can. And these are some great, I think, insights from an artist that I really respect and admire. And definitely your art makes me feel a way, like very positive. And I really sense that, that purest art that you mentioned as well. So very excited to, learn a little bit more about you today. And we have one more guest we're going to introduce, and then we're going to bring everyone back together. And I'm really glad actually it worked out this way. This is KC, y'all. And she's representing North Love Arts, and she's one of the founders there, the organizers and curators of this art exhibit and many other exhibits within Nuit Blanche, by the way. North Love Arts is doing a lot for the city and really is becoming a huge platform for BIPOC artists to be able to display their works in film, visual arts, music. I think I got them all, but there's probably some more coming, and I'm for it. So Casey, thank you so much for being here. I'd love for the folks to know a little bit about you and how you came to be the founder, one of the founders of North Love Arts.
Yes, Elle, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. And like, wow, amazing. That's to the artists as well. This is a collective, where North Love Arts is artists, and putting together these installations has been such an honor. At Nuit Blanche, we are exhibiting 3 different art forms. And so we are putting on Black literature, spoken soul. Shout out to Spoken Soul doing their thing in for the authors, for the spoken word artists. We also have Millennial X that is curating short films. Millennial X is also doing great work, filmmaking programs in and around the city, partnered with CBC. And at North Love Arts, we're bringing we're bringing the bangers. We are curated music as well as visual artists, and we're activating the entire space. So on September 23rd, we are coming to the Dawn on Danforth, where you will experience 24 music artists, all live performances, as well as these talented visual artists that will be exhibiting in the same building. So lots to look forward to. And in regards to, my involvement with North Love Arts, I couldn't have done it without my business partners. Shout out Carlos, Sean, Price, Michelle. This was really a great experience to really collectively come to the table with our strengths. We all knew that cohesively, and this energy in bringing those strengths together, it really is a team effort. And so we really put our best selves out there. We're out here to unite and activate for BIPOC artists everywhere. I think part of that mission, as a creative, as an artist myself, is that we weren't fit into, these stereotypical boxes. And so many times as artists, we are multidisciplinary. We take on multiple art forms because our creativity knows no bound. So being creative, finding those outlets of art that really speaks to your soul, speaks to your passion. My background comes from a dance background, and I also film make, I also write, and I creative direct and produce. So utilizing all of these skills and being in the industry, understanding the challenges, and where we need to fill up those space and make sure that we're putting those artists on in a position to succeed and to continuously showcase their art. That's part of our community, and that's part of the mission that we'd like to put onto not only local artists, but sending it all over Canada and eventually reaching international borders.
Exactly. Talk about it. Preach, manifest, like everything that you said. So well said. So excited to have you as a part of this conversation, because it is because of folks like you, the ones who are truly breaking ground, breaking down those gates, that breaking through those boxes that tell us like who we should be and what we should do, breaking down the systems, and really providing this new platform for us to write a new narrative. So I'm very, very honored to be, co-curating alongside North Love Arts for this visual arts exhibit. And also, in addition to the visual arts, we're bringing in the culinary arts. So there will be food vendors who will be joining us as well. So make sure that, if you are listening right now or watching, you come on down to Nuit Blanche on the 23rd. We're going to bring all the artists back together now. Everyone's going to come into the room and meet each other, some of us for the first time, and some of us again. And we will be together again in person. So I have a question for everyone here, now that I got to know a little bit about you, and I hope you were all listening to each other, etc. That being said, I'd love to know from each one of you. Some of you started out already saying it, but I always love to start out and make sure that we highlight what if anyone can start, or maybe I'll point out a person. We'll go with Priya. I'd love to know, Priya, what what incident may have occurred in your life, or what is like a lesson that you learned from an incident that occurred in your life? If you don't want to say the incident, but perhaps the lesson that you learned that really helped you to develop the skills to be able to do the amount of artwork that you've been able to do over the last 18 years, because art is something that I think, and others can think about this and speak to this. Art is not something that's often, promoted in BIPOC homes, especially like first generation or immigrants to Canada. Art is not the first job that your parents want you to get into. So I'd love to know for you, Priya, especially because you studied art and you made it, like you went to school for it. How were you able to do that? Like, was there any specific incident that happened or a lesson you learned from an incident to help you really stay in this field and make it a career?
Okay, that's a good question. For me, I can definitely say supportive parents is what helped. I never had those parents that say, go do something else. My parents said, oh, you want to be an artist? Okay, let's go. How can we do that? Okay, let's go. My dad helped me make my first business cards, always saying, go into that building right there and ask them if they need art on their wall. So I come from an entrepreneurial family. So it's very like entrepreneur, go do your own thing. Don't go work for someone else. So for me, it was easy in that way. I was blessed in that sense. So to go into art, I was just thinking in high school when it's time to make that decision, what career path do we choose? I was thinking, what could I possibly do? What am I interested in enough to go and study in university? The answer was like nothing besides art. Like I only care about art and making art. Like end of story. Like I'm sorry, I don't care about anything else. So it was just an easy answer. So, and business. Okay. So I have a minor in arts administration, which I did all business classes for that. Okay. So entrepreneurship and making art is just what makes me happy. I can do that all day, all night, I only care about making art. So it was very easy for me. I didn't really have some incident or anything, but definitely to just keep going, because then when you need money and then all I'm doing is making art, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something else. So you bust out the entrepreneur skills, and I have many other businesses that I run, specifically managing properties on Airbnb. I organize people's homes. I teach ESL English. I do all these things that I love. By the way, I only like to do things that I love to do, is what I made a decision for myself. Like if I'm going to do anything, like I have to love it. Oh, please, I have to love it. So I just sat one day and thought of all the skills I have and how can I monetize them, put Kijiji ads for all of them. And then I live off that. So I think just determination, which I got from as a child, like knowing that anything is possible, having that support from my family from the beginning days. So I know that everything is possible, that I can do anything. And so I'm going to do what I want to do, and no one's going to stop me. Like simple.
Yes. And I thank you for dropping those other gems about, I don't know if everybody always understands like what it means to support yourself as an artist. I love what you said, that you do a bunch of other things that you love to surround, those times when there might be maybe between exhibits, or you're between ideas, or, you're blocked in some way. You need some inspiration. I've found that like living is the best inspiration that you can get for some of these projects. So sometimes you do have to step away from the drawing table. And it's great that you had supportive parents. Another person that kind of dropped something that made me think that they might have had supportive parents, or at least parents who inspired them to become who they are. Josh, you had mentioned that your dad actually is an artist, or he drew enough that made you think, hey, I could possibly do that as a career. So I'd love to know, was your experience similar to Priya, that you had supportive parents, or how did you manage to be able to become an artist and now making a career as an artist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say I had a good supportive family in terms of, this is what you're good at, this is great, put it together. But also they also stated, like go to school and get your education, so you have those backups or so. So I did go to school for graphic designing, which again, it's something which I enjoy doing, and it's all within the creative field. So I was doing that graphic design, but also just creating the art. And as I sort of kept going along that career path of designing and art, I always found that the art was where the passion is, where the desire is. Because when you're doing graphic designing, I'm creating for, if it's corporate or if I'm doing it for a client or so, it's working off their ideology, their vision or so forth. And so that's not essentially being true to me. And so when I'm creating my art, that's being true to me. And again, there's only one me in this world. So when I do that, that automatically makes that work unique, and it gives it that exceptional value, right? And so things which all those statements where I just said, it was like that's where I want to be. That's where I want the art to come from. So, and that's why as I do that art, it just it just grows like it just grows, and my family really is supportive of it, to see just as to where I started from and where I am now. They're really excited, they're grateful. Even my dad, he's again the one who inspired me, and he's always been into arts, but he never really followed through with it. And that was because when he was growing up, when it came time to make a career choice, his school counselor told him, if you want a family, you don't want to do art. And so he listened, and he went and got a great job. Don't get me wrong, but he always wanted to do art. So it's like I'm living his dream as well. When he looks at me to be like, I'm so proud of you, man. You're an amazing artist, and you kept to it and you stuck with it. That's great. Whereas I want to do that, but I was derailed from that because someone, put that fear, and they basically put their fear into him by saying, you can't do this. Whereas a guidance counselor should be saying, you can do this. Let me help you figure it out. So at least my dad took that to say, you know what? You can do this, and let me help you figure it out. So again, that's that attitude of gratitude, which is all a part of my family and a part of me, and it just flows through the work.
Wow, I love that. And I love how what I'm like feel like I'm hearing right now is that generational curses are being broken. Like families who, our ancestors who were told that we couldn't do things, maybe because our priorities had to be, surviving, getting good jobs so that we could build stable families. Now we are in positions where we can tell our kids, yeah, be anything you want. Or as Priya mentioned, that grade 10 teacher who inspired her by saying, do anything you want on this, and then we will see where you want to go. This is amazing. I'm loving these inspiring stories, and I hope that, we keep on hearing more of these. And I'd love to know from Casey, Jasmine, or Adrian, do you have any similar experiences, like where you feel that, that you were actually you had an easier path perhaps than most getting into this art space? And anyone can jump in here. Or if you had a hard time, let us know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like, my artistic journey is not it wasn't typical. Like, being young, I was always creative. I was always artistic, and my family, unfortunately, we experienced financial like struggles, and they weren't able to put me into dance classes even though I wanted to dance, or they weren't able to put me into singing lessons, and I wanted to sing. However, my dad and my parents really cultivated their own musical experiences when I was a child. So my dad, he played guitar, and so he would strum on his guitar, and we would like really bond over that. And music, like I'm Filipino, so a lot of my culture really infuses our everyday lifestyle with music, and even in our home there was always music playing. So music has always been a big part of my life. And then it was only until later where I was able to like self invest in my own training and my own workshops as a dancer, as a writer, and cultivate that for myself. However, a lot of those inspirations from my childhood and growing up, it really taught me, the resilience that my family, endured. Even though they couldn't give me those opportunities, they still took the time to nurture and care for it in their best capacity. So, even though we were financially struggling, I was still able to access and be exposed to art and culture and music, in the way that I did, that then allowed me to, persevere and be in the pursuit of creativity and learning more about my craft and arts.
Hmm. That is beautiful. And I love, like, also it's up to us to really view things in a certain way and to really see what our families or people around us, our environments, the ways that they are supportive. I think, Josh, you said it best, like, you have to have a mindset of gratitude and being able to recognize the things that you do have. I think that's the mindset of gratitude. It really does eliminate, or it just like makes less space for the negative or things that you don't have. So I'd love to know, from Jasmine or Adrian, how you have been able to, utilize maybe the spaces that you were in that weren't as rosy, but you were able to still find a way to kind of, cultivate that garden for yourself. And I'd love to start out with Adrian, and then maybe we'll move on to
Mhm.
Jasmine.
Well, I have a really interesting background. I say that because I was born here in Toronto, in Canada, and I left when I was 1 year old to go to Guyana, and I lived from the age of 1 to 8.5 in Guyana. And though it was a very tough time during the early '80s, Guyana was the poorest place on the planet, and we were very poor, to say the least. So I learned to be self-efficient. I was raised with my grandmother and my aunt that showed me tons of love and were really supportive. My transition to Canada when I was 8.5 was really tough. As you can imagine, I gave up everything I knew and moved here to live with my mom, who I really didn't know very well. So art is when so when I came here in the schooling system, it was just a huge transition, and art was really a safe place for me, a safe space for me to express myself and to delve into something that was very much encouraged both in school and at home as well because I excelled in it. English particularly was a really struggle was a point of struggle for me because just again at the transition, and so having that creative space there, I can just kind of like do my own thing and not yeah, just feel that it was a safe space that I can be creative and not have not being judged and whatnot. So that always like resonated with me, and and I excelled all the way through school. I was kind of a straight A student all the way to I went to Humber College, and I similarly went much like Josh studied graphic design because trying to find a practical use for my talents and for my skill set. And I spent a good 10 years in the industry designing video games. I was doing very well for myself and doing stuff for like YTV here in the city. It was just the early days of doing like flash-based animations and whatnot. So I learned a lot and met really great people and was always encouraged, but really wasn't finding that I was connecting with the people I wanted to the most. Those people meaning just the people, the common folks. When you're designing stuff for video games, you're kind of limited to the audience that can afford video games and computers and all the rest of it. Whereas where I'm doing the stuff I'm doing now is in the public space and connecting. For instance, a big part of the little Jamaica community. The Reggae Lane mural is a piece I painted back in 2015. And again, being able to be in a Black community and do works that highlight and elevate my community, again, was far more beneficial to me. I didn't lose anything monetarily for that transition. That's one of the fears that tend to get planted in our mind is that if you're not, under somebody's thumb, that you're not going to be successful. But if there's a way, there's a will, and you'll find a way to do it. And there's great programs here in the city that make that all possible. So I'm just thankful, for being in the city. I'm thankful for the struggles that I have because they do make you stronger, right? They make you you develop a resistance or better resilience when you do encounter struggles, be it creative blockage or just dealing with people, client base, whatever have you. knowing that you have that safe space in the arts, that's kind of, always a place that I go back to. My Monday nights live drawing sessions at the gallery, that is always, again, I look forward to that so much because it's just a space where I spend 3 hours and I get to just it's meditative. I just get to be creative and do whatever I want to, kind of thing. Not to say that I don't do that on a regular basis. It's just having that time set aside where I can just, be with the rest of my community and just have fun and draw and kind of returning to the joys of the creative energy.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for sharing that journey because as we can see, everyone's paths are so different. Although we are all here about to exhibit together at Nuit Blanche, we've all come here from different ways of being. So I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about Jasmine and how you kind of fit into this conversation. How was your path making it into the art world? Was it smooth or was it rocky?
Pretty all over the place. Much similar to like Casey's journey of just, just always been a creative kid. But my family didn't really have the economic stability to really afford different things. So I started out in dance and got to a certain point where, classes were just too expensive for my family. So I had to kind of maneuver around. I did poetry for a bit, did acting. So as I got into high school and those type of things, I started to chart my own paths that opened doors for me doing commercials, doing things on Netflix, and kind of finding doors and knocking on doors, to be honest, and finding alternative ways to let my creativity shine. But in the concept of just art, it took me maybe up to like 2 years ago to really have confidence to show my art publicly or even to apply to an artist call, because I felt like I draw on an iPad. It's not the traditional way that people know or view art. And it was in the height of the pandemic. And I'm just like, I don't know if people are going to like this or receive it, but I'm just going to put it out there anyway. And it was well received by the city of Toronto. And then they just kind of kept calling me. They're like, oh, this is cool. All right, can you do this? Can you do that? And my real background just started in graphic design. And I just said, okay, I have a skill set. I have an eye for creativity. And then it kind of branched into my art style, which is like much of infusing, like, I guess you say anime and cartoons and AI technology. So I've always been into technology and just the evolution of how technology affects a lot of our communities, Black and Indigenous communities, and the lack thereof. So a lot of my art style infuses Black bodies and Indigenous bodies in spaces like technology and AI and gaming that we don't really see projected often. So that's kind of my journey to where I am now, where I feel like technology, especially our artificial intelligence, is going to be the next frontier in the next 10 years, and really feel like there's a lot of creativity within the Black and Indigenous community to create. And sometimes people just need to understand the tools that can elevate their skill sets that they already have and take it further or monetize it and be in demand. So that's kind of my journey to where I am today.
It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I see some of our friends, who are joining in. And I do want to shout out all the folks who are listening to us live right now and watching us on YouTube. We appreciate you listening to us right here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. And tonight we are speaking with some of the Nuit Blanche artists, as well as one of the curators of Nuit Blanche that is doing really breaking ground for BIPOC artists. So we're really trying to work with Black, Indigenous, and people of color and really give them a voice at Nuit Blanche, because Nuit Blanche is an exhibit that happens all around the world. It happens in Toronto for so many years. I've been visiting it, but never really saw people like you and I who are here tonight as, the curators, as the visual artists who are being exhibited, who are going to be doing live demonstrations. And so I'm really excited and honored again to be able to showcase all of these artists to the Love Bay audience. And I hope some of you come out and visit us on Saturday, and we're going right into Sunday until 7 a.m. You can find out all the information on either my platform, Madewell.productions. You can go over to North Love Arts and find out the information, and you can sign up. It's all free. So there's no excuses for you to not show up. All right. Come out. Before we end today, I would love if each one of you, no pressure, can give me one phrase or sentence that you have that you want to end off with. It can be something that you want to impart to the audience, young artists who are out there, young or old, any artists who are out there, people who are out there watching us right now and wanting to possibly maybe exhibit next year, some sort of lasting advice about, might be how you got here, how you broke through to be able to be here, something that you keep in mind to help you when you keep going. So for me, I would say that I'll end off with, it really is, it's not about what you have or what you don't have. It's about how you think about what you have. And perspective is really, for me, what got me here. Changing my perspective on the things that were around me helped me to see the opportunities, and things that seemed like opposition became opportunities to me. So switching from opposition to opportunity brought me here. So how about you, Casey? How about what would be, your piece of advice or that thing that brought you here?
Yeah. I think for me, one of my favorite books, The Alchemist, there's a line that says, when you follow your dreams, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. So when you live with that passion and that purpose, and you constantly put yourself out there and you're open to what you attract, because that's what we do, we attract. And the universe will deliver. God will always deliver. And so the opportunities that I've had to co-produce, to direct, to write, I owe it all to this newfound purpose of being BIPOC and being a woman of color, and taking on leadership roles and really being the change that we want to see in the industry. We touched on, points, so many important points in this conversation, and I think collectively we each make a piece of this efforts to drive these creative forces. So yeah, I think that's what I'd leave it at that.
Oh, thank you so much. And Jasmine?
I guess my tidbit would be prove yourself to none and be you authentically. That definitely has been my journey of just not wasting too much time of explaining how or why I do what I do or how I show up, but actually just being myself. And in that space, a lot like what Casey said, that attracts the right people to you, that attracts the right energy, but also it speaks for yourself and who you are and your essence. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And shout out to Yanji, who's in the crowd right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Queen. And Josh, let us know, what is your gem, your big gem you want to drop to those folks listening in at home?
For sure. A gem which I could leave here is, life is simple and have faith. There's two things in life, basically. There's fear and there's faith. You got to choose which one you want to go with. When you have faith, then you don't worry about the how, because God takes care of the how. Your job is to do what you can do to the best of your ability, and faith in God will get you where you want to be.
Beautiful. I love that. Which wolf are you going to feed, the faith or the fear? I really love that. It's true. It's very simple, very simple. Adrian?
You have to believe in yourself. I mean, a lot of these are kind of a little redundant. It's a lot of saying the same thing different ways. I think there's definitely a theme developing here, but your belief in yourself is really where it starts from. How you believe and perceive yourself is how the universe and others will perceive you. So And having an abundant mindset, that it's realizing that, because one thing might not happen today doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It might be a matter of timing. It might mean that the universe has something better for you. So having confidence in yourself and having an abundance mindset, those are definitely my 2 cents.
I love it. Thank you. And yes, I do notice a theme happening here. I hope, we're really trying to drive this message home. I hope people are understanding. So, Priya, take it away. Last word. What do you want to say to the people out there who may be like, how do I, get maybe where Priya is at? How do I get to Nuit Blanche one day?
Well, I would say, first of all, to just live each day to the fullest, because one thing COVID taught me is that not everyone makes it to the next day. So I really just make sure you just take every opportunity that you can get. Of course, not if it looks like a really bad opportunity, but to not be afraid. So many people are stunted and like they don't do anything because they're afraid or they don't know. Well, you're not going to know unless you try. So you have to have that faith, have that strength. Just take the leap of faith. Just take the step. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just move forward. And then you will see what happens. And whether it's good or bad or medium, you learn from it. And then it will help you to know what opportunities or what steps to take next time. And you just have to keep moving, and not do anything, because days and days can pass by when you're just sitting there, not doing anything, years and years, and you're still at the same place as you were before. So if it's just do something each day, have the to-do list. I organize people's lives as well. So it's like you have that to-do list, that goal to just keep, what can we do today that puts you one step forward? It can be the smallest thing. I tell myself this too when I'm stuck with certain paintings I'm trying to break through and what I'm trying to make, but I feel stuck. I'm like, what can I do to just move forward? Even if it's just turning on the light in my art gallery, that's a step forward, because when I pass by, I know, the light is on. Let me go in there and work. Like the little stuff, just move forward, just keep moving forward, move forward. Don't stop. You can do it.
I love that. I especially that advice about, when you don't know what to do, what's the next step? It's like, do the next right thing. Like exactly like you said, Priya, just go turn on the light of your art studio, open the book, fold the laundry, like do one thing for yourself. And those small accomplishments, they really add up to those big victories that help us to be able to accomplish these huge things, like the thing that we are going to do next Saturday. And I want to thank this Saturday. It's only 2 days away. Oh my goodness. We've been working really hard towards this. So on Saturday, September 23rd, come and see all of us at the Dawn on the Danforth for Nuit Blanche 2023. Thank you to all of you for making it out for this virtual interview. I look forward to seeing you in person on Saturday. And I'm going to say good night to all my friends now so that I can introduce y'all to the next show that's coming up. I want to thank also Kwame and Derek, who were also in the audience and here to support Priya, and all of the artists here and everyone that was in the audience, whether you said something or not. We do see you, and we will see you next time on Voices of the Millennials. We'll be here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And next up is the Bellas. They always talk about the biz right here on Love Bay Music Talk Afrobeat Radio. And I'm your host, Elle, and I'm saying good night. Peace and blessings, y'all. See you next Wednesday.